Welcome to season 1 of More Money.
And we're live. More Money, episode 9.
And we're live.
Don't do that again.
Hey.
More Money, episode numero 9.
Oh,
You believe
what
it?
left to 10?
You believe it, dude? It's 9 episodes. It's pretty cool.
I know, and we got a special guest on episode 10, so...
I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for our special guest. Kind of funny because, if you're just watching this, we have a whole computer back there where we can see ourselves. I don't know if Roy can see himself, but
I can.
we can see ourselves there. And it's pretty funny because we're actually going to be having the guest via Zoom.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to kind of be looking at the screen the whole time while she's talking. Oh, dang. Did I give that away? That is a she? Oh, no. All right. So, More Money episode 9, man. We got a lot of topics. Actually, you went to FAMP yesterday, right?
Yeah, I went to the local FAMP conference or whatever they call it yesterday. It was actually my first time attending a FAMP event.
What is FAMP?
It's the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals.
Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals.
Yeah.
Probably everybody knows that, but
It was actually really well attended, man. They so a lot of lenders and insurance companies, wholesale providers. That's basically what was there. You know, the booths were them promoting their products, just like any other exhibition hall at any other conference. But this was really geared towards mortgage brokers, mini correspondent lenders. We're a mini correspondent lender, so that kind of client base. And I got to tell you, I stopped at a few booths, talked to a couple of people that I knew. One of them said to me, Roy, I ran out of everything. There's so many more people here than I've ever experienced before. Wow. So that was pretty interesting to see. And I mean, it was pretty crowded.
There was a lot of people?
Yeah, it was a lot of people.
I mean, this is your stack of papers that you brought from the event with a bunch of lender stuff here, right? I like this one. We have loans for bad credit customers. All primary home loans, no income verification, no credit reports, no bank statements, no tax returns. Closing in as little as 5 days. I love the fact that we can close with these people like that. We can utilize these types of loans for our consumers. So if you guys want to know how many loan programs we have,
that many.
That many.
There's that many.
I thought it would fly more everywhere, but it kind of just dropped right.
Yeah, you need to spred it out and then throw it in the air.
Try. Pick it up.
No,
okay, well, all right.
We'll leave that there.
So
just remember, you're picking that up later.
What is it? 52 pickup?
52.
A lot of people have FAMP. Does that surprise you? Is that
So usually I don't hear that there's that many people, but I mean, again, this is my first time going to a FAMP event here locally. I've been to Orlando events before. This is my first time going to one here locally. And so to hear from some of the account executives who are representing their companies that this is the largest turnout that they've seen, made me think, wow, this side of the equation has grown quite a bit. The go out on your own, start your own company, be your own boss world of doing mortgages has grown quite a bit.
Yeah, because it's more geared towards brokers as well, right? People that can use wholesale lending capabilities.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right? So it's geared towards brokers, people who can use a wholesale lender or a TPO, whatever you want to call it. It's also for loan officers. There were brokers and lenders and other companies there that were looking to recruit loan officers. So they had their booth set up and they basically had pamphlets out there that say, hey, loan officer, come over here. We're paying X, And so I think those are the two main targeted customer bases, mm-hmm. The loan officer that works for somebody else and the broker owner who works for themselves.
Did you go over there with a specific goal or purpose in mind?
Yeah, man. I was looking for a couple of specific products for a couple of things that we, got cooking in the pot right now.
Cook it up in the crock pot.
Yeah, actually, one of those flyers you just threw in the air was to a loan product that we were looking for
that we didn't know
for a lot of our doctor clients.
100% professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not even doctors. It goes to attorneys too.
Yeah. It goes to everybody, but my client base is doctors for those.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of really cool, right? Now that we're able to offer it, I feel like it opens us up to what we can do, because when we're talking about these loans, we're talking about 100% financing for doctors, lawyers, professionals in a sense, right?
CPAs.
Yeah, CPAs as well. So 100% financing for people that probably amassed massive student debt, right? That have high incomes, but just can't find the necessary steps to save the money because they have other bills, that things that popped up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's about expanding the capability of you being able to actually lend with an expansion of products, with being able to be diverse in a sense, right? Because I feel like if you're working for a lender, or if you're working for somebody who does not do any of these non-conforming type deals, right? Go find a new job. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously,
Work somewhere else.
it's about being versatile in this market. It's about doing the stuff that not that nobody else can. A lot of people can do professional loans, right? But it's about figuring out how you can stand out and be different.
You should be surprised how many people cannot do a doctor loan. I mean,
well, we couldn't do it for a while.
We couldn't do it for a while.
We couldn't do it for a while, yeah.
Somebody needed an 80, 90% doctor loan. We had to send that away.
Yeah. And finding these down payment assistance programs in any sense are huge in this market, right? I was reading a report that I don't know what this number of renters was, but basically it's like renters are just not finding homes unaffordable. Like, it's unaffordable for renters to buy a home at this point, so the renters are moving up.
So it's interesting you said that, right? So I was looking at Sue's post this morning on Sue Knows the Score, Sue Buswell's post, and there was a mention there of something that she had read. 37% of renters believe that they're going to be renters for their whole lifetime.
Really?
Yeah. They are like, I'm going to be a renter for the rest of my life. And that's interesting to me because, she also mentioned that they're spending well over 50% of their income to pay their rent, And then I read a few other things about rental markets in general and, came across a few other interesting statistics. So some people don't want to move. It's not that they think they're going to be renters forever, but they prefer it. They don't want the hassle of home ownership. There are additional costs that come into play with home ownership in the immediate term. And, of course, there are costs that stay with you for a lifetime, right? There could be a hot water heater that needs to be replaced every 10 years. There could be an AC unit that needs to be replaced every 10 years. There could be a roof that needs to be replaced every so often. I mean, these are higher cost expenses that come with owning a home. And some people look at that and say, I'd rather be a renter. Owning a home is just not for me right now in my life.
I can kind of agree with that. I think that, man, we do mortgages, and I'm very big on home ownership. I'm very big on building equity. I'm very big on, I think everybody should own a home, I think, at a certain point or another, right? But I believe it's all about phases of life, right? Like where you're at, what you want to do. And I'll give you the perfect example. Me and my fiance, soon-to-be wife, we're going to rent. We're going to rent. The reason that we're going to rent is because right now, we live in Miami, for those of you that are just watching here, but we live in Miami. And man, homes are out of this world right now in terms of price. So I told myself, I'm like, does it make sense to buy a home right now, or maybe rent for a couple of years near Doral and look to purchase investment properties in other states, right? So that I can build up my real estate portfolio, not throw away my money, but then by the time that I am ready to purchase the home that I want, that's, going to be in the upper, $600,000-$700,000 homes, right? That payment is not going to be pretty, but if we built the real estate portfolio, if we build some equity, if we build some cash flow, now that offsets the payment and it helps us, right? So I think right now, whether you rent or you buy, you're always hearing people say, don't rent, buy, rent is 100% of interest, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but if you have a good plan of attack, a strategy as to, hey, I'm going to rent here, but if you're renting aimlessly in a place that you're paying, unfortunately 60-70% of your income towards that, then it may be hard to save towards that plan.
It's going to be difficult for anybody who's paying more than 50% of their income to save for a down payment on a home. Yeah, that's why we look at DPA programs. That's why we look at 100% financing options. That's why a professionals program that does 100% is so important. That's why people who have served, our country can utilize VA benefits that might allow them to use 100% financing, right? So you've got to really be able to look out there and say, hey, how do I get somebody to the table without having to come with money to the table?
And that's what I was going to say, that there's so many options for that loan officers and mortgage companies don't use. Why? Because they're harder to do loans. I think, Natalie over there in Georgia, she calls herself the Georgia Dream Girl. right? Because she helps and assists these people of trying to get into their homes that don't have the necessary down payment. And she's helping them all the time. And that's her base. That's her niche, right? 100% utilizing down payment assistance programs and getting outside of that box is going to bring you and flourish you a lot of business, especially in times like now.
Yeah, I always say, if you're looking at where your easy customer is coming from in this market, then when times do get easier for you, you're not going to get the easy business because they're going to have gone somewhere else because, the only reason they're there with you right now is because maybe you have something that's giving you an edge, little program here, a little trick that you figured out here, and you've got a little edge, but that edge will disappear sooner or later. I mean, if somebody watches our show often enough, nobody will have any secret sauce because we give away everybody's secret sauce. We're like that guy on TikTok who gives away all the fast food companies' restaurant recipes.
The secret.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Here's how you can cut the costs. Here's where you can find the products. We'll wave around everybody's logo.
Yeah.
These are the people we're signed up with. This is who we're using. Call us. Ask us.
We've said it multiple times. If you're watching this and you have any questions, all you have to do is reach out to us. Reach out to us in the comments. Reach out to us with your phone number, or go to our social media pages, which our social media pages have our personal information on them. So we're not hiding from anybody. We're definitely not trying to gatekeep any of this information. We're actually just trying to give it and trying to help people grow. And if you end up coming on our team, well, that's just an added bonus. We'll just give you even more, right? So
eating a lot of sugar, this guy. Tell him not to do that. It's not good for your...
I stopped eating sugar, and then you brought me Gideon cookies from Orlando. Cookies.
If you go to Gideon's, you should eat like every flavor of cookie that they have.
You brought this. I tell him, I'm like, I recently found out that sugar causes early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah, contributor, yep.
Yeah, and that runs in my family. So I was like, whoa. I was like, hold on. So I literally stopped, and then this guy brings a pack of 6 Gideon cookies, and he's like, enjoy. With, what was the other thing? Milk bars?
Oh, yeah. So big shout out to Brian Zitten over at Regora. The milk bar truffles.
Gas.
Spot on.
Gas.
So good.
By the way,
I miss stuff from home sometimes, but it's usually just the food.
Yep. We are not taking any paid sponsorships. We just really like this stuff.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Brian. I mean, I know I sent you a text message, but man, I love those.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, man. So going back to this DPA, getting the edge, right? And doing the easy stuff. Like now rates have come down, but they're actually up again since they lowered them to out. Everybody's thinking, oh my God, we're going to go into a refi boom. When you're looking at the easy business, you got to be in the refi boom. And then now refis are down now because rates went up a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit. They went up. So now the refinances are out. So if you're as a loan officer banking on refis, you can price yourself out.
Sure.
So the best case, right? And a lot of these DPA programs, listen, they come with their stipulations. They come with a little bit of a higher interest rate. They come sometimes with the second loan that helps with the down payment, right? So if you're able to do these types of loans and you're able to put together these like loans to get people into the family to purchase, when the rates come down, home values go up, that's just a repeat customer.
Yeah.
That's a repeat customer. You can help them out. Absolutely. You help them out, lower the rate, lower their payment. But guess what? They got in the house. It's affordable. All thanks to you.
Yep. I think, that's a big thing for us, right? The way Natalie does business, the way we do business here, we don't turn anybody away. It's not, hey, let me just chase the easy business. As a matter of fact, even when I like the more difficult loans, right? Because, we do have a stronger base on the non-QM side than we do on the conventional side. We like to figure out how to put the puzzle back together so that we can get somebody into the right situation for them. And, listen, easy is easy and that's awesome. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Easy doesn't excite me. Don't get me wrong. I take an easy loan, but easy doesn't excite me.
I take an easy loan all day, man. I don't know about you, but, and it's funny because me and you have actually sat there before where we literally just sit and look at each other and we're like, how can we get this loan done? We draw up all the possible solutions. Okay, what if you do this? What if you do this? What if you structure like this, like that? And that's fun, man. I really like that. There's so many parts of the mortgage business that I like. And one of my favorite things, right? So I'm not a fan of doing loans, right? When I say I'm not a fan of doing loans, I'm not a fan of collecting paperwork, processing, and doing all the stuff that a loan officer technically shouldn't do, but that we still do anyways because of whatever reason, right? So I'm not a fan of that stuff. But I am a fan of the creativity. I am a fan of the autonomy that we get to practice and to do, like, to challenge ourselves, right? So building relationships, getting referrals, calling people, being able to cultivate these things and get a little tricky. And like, those are the successes to me that I love about this business.
Sure.
And especially being able to create a file and structure it well together. And I'll give you the perfect example of this one. I helped the borrower close on her home back in November, I think it was, right? So this home was a home that was listed by the county. It was being sold by the county. The home was worth $420,000. The county was selling it for $300 and something thousand. This is great. Like, let's do this. But the county had the most specific requirements I've ever seen in my life. It was, you couldn't make, your household income couldn't be more than X amount of the area median income, right? But I was like, okay, but if the household income isn't there, like, you're probably not going to qualify for the loan. You need somebody with no debt. We had somebody with no debt, pristine credit. I was like, all right, great. So the county was giving them $70,000 as assistance with the option to do an additional $50,000 on top. So $120,000, right? Yeah. $120,000 was going to be helped to apply there. But you know how the DTI ratios, they go up to 50%, right? You couldn't. You could only go up to 45. So now I'm like, we're like stuck here. We're just thinking, we're like, dude, what do we do? How do we get her to get this done? With the help, with everything, we had to buy down the interest rate. We had to pay off a card. Actually, we had to help her refinance a car loan out of her name to get that debt off, right? We had to structure a payment of a credit card off. We had to do so many different things. But at the end of the day, we got her into the home. She got into the home with... It's holiday season, but some things that I do want to talk about. Did you know that stress and anxiety during this holiday season rise by about 40%? Loneliness and depression are actually up by about a total of 50%. That's crazy to me. This is why I live my life in a state of gratitude all the time. I'm grateful for what I have and what I don't have. I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for what I've been through. I'm grateful for the love the Lord has given me, and I'm grateful for the love I've had with my fiance. I'm grateful for the love I have around me at all times and constantly. Sometimes we can get so focused on just looking at what's bad, what's happening, what don't we have, right? We're in a consumerist, capitalistic environment. We need to be focusing on, that's why every day I make it a point to focus on what I'm grateful for. And what I'm grateful for is my family, grateful for my future marriage, grateful for my future kids, being a husband, a man people can be proud of. And I'm just grateful for every opportunity that I've ever gotten in my life. Write down what you're grateful for in the comments below. I want to hear from you because I want you to be happy all the time, just like I am. She got into the home with $120,000 of assistance of not her own money and an additional $100,000 on equity. So she literally has $200,000. She liquidated her entire 401k. And I know for everybody out there saying, why would you liquidate your 401k? Dude, she had $50,000 in her 401k, liquidated it, and turned it into $200,000. I've never seen a better deal in my life. But that was one of the most mentally exhausting loans because I had to restructure the file about 5 or 6 times. By the way, keep in mind, when I sent in the original approval to the city, they had to have a meeting to approve her contract. So I sent in an approval in the summer. Rates kept going up all the way to when she got it accepted. So the terms were no longer there. So I had to restructure it there. Then they told me about the DTI requirements. I have to restructure it again. So crazy shit. But that's the type of loans that, it can get your juices going, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. So you get a lot of traction. You just see a lot of fun doing it, or just kind of, again, it's like solving the puzzle, right? So you just take some time and figure out how to put the puzzle together, and that's the fun part.
It really is, man. And also as well, it's like, it's also finding out what about this business do you like to do, right? There's people that don't like to prospect or do what you got to do, right? I call those kind of like the business development people, right? People that don't like to do that about this business. There's nothing wrong with it, because there's a million other positions you could take in this business, from processing manager to processor to loan officer assistant to anything in that cape, right? So I think again, you're talking about the puzzle. But if you're like listening to me tell that story and it doesn't excite you and it just sounds terrible to you, then you might want to think about a different route than being a loan officer that's involved in structuring the deals.
You could be a loan officer that, only takes easy loans.
Works at a refi shop or something like that.
Or the credit union or a bank or something.
They get a lot of applications though. They're not the easiest.
I know, but they don't do the not easy ones.
That's true. Which is why I actually get a pretty decent amount of business from credit unions.
Yeah. Biggest referrals come from, if you find the guy or the girl who only wants to do the easy loans, make friends with them, because they'll refer you all the deals that are, that look like they're going to be a hurdle, and, it's probably going to be very lucrative for you.
There's nothing like getting a commission check on a loan that shouldn't have closed. Like if you didn't put your heart into it. You get what I'm saying? So like, I'll give you another example. I have a borrower who has a deferred payment on his mortgage statement. And because of the deferred payment, the lender needed something from the original bank saying, hey, this is a deferred payment because of COVID, blah, blah. We provided everything. And then, but the actual bank that held the mortgage would not give us a letter saying it was COVID. It was something crazy. So my underwriter couldn't remove that condition. We were almost CTC. Thought we were a stalemate. I had to get on a 6-way call with me, the bank account executive. Shout out to Artie for getting on that call, by the way. The underwriter, the borrower, the bank's rep. So we were all on the phone at once. And I was like, does this work for everybody? As I'm driving home and stuff like that. I'm still shocked that happened. And they were like, all right, we'll take this one.
What was it you were trying to prove?
So he had a deferred balance on a mortgage. And they wanted to know why it was deferred for some reason. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. But they wanted to know why it was deferred, that it wasn't a late payment or wasn't anything, that it was like a loan modification. They just wanted to confirm that, which we told her it was COVID. It was this, he got a deferment for that, never missed a payment. We saw it through his credit report, all that, but they still wanted paperwork saying this was a deferment for COVID.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we do take a lot of deals like that on, deals that anybody else would look at and say, it's not that they shouldn't close. It's that I don't want to do that much work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. And it wasn't, I'm not talking, it was like there wasn't like a $500,000 to $700,000 loan either. We're talking, it was on the lower range, right? But I guess that's the difference, man. We talk about it a lot, me and you, where we say like, and this is not to sound not humble or anything, but I think I'm cut from a different cloth, man. I think I will stay here till 9, 10, 11 p.m., 12 a.m. working, trying to figure it out and making it happen. And I won't tell you I can't do it unless I sit there and I literally don't think I can do it.
Yeah, you banged your head against the wall. You're bleeding. You can't see out of your eyes anymore. And then you're like, no, I can't do it now because, it didn't work out.
Yeah, and you did too, man. When you started, you were telling me those stories, man. When you were an account manager, you were sleeping in your office.
I did try to sleep in my office more than a few times. Actually, and by the way, it was just a cubicle back then.
It was just a cubicle?
Yeah. I did try to sleep under my cubicle.
Did it work out?
I got caught the first time. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I was going to, set the alarm so I could be back in by 5. And it was already midnight. And I don't feel like going home. And, I was 22, 23, something like that. And in my mind, I was like, well, if I go home, then I gotta, there's a gym over here. I can go over there, take a shower real quick, get back to work. But I was I mean, man, I'll tell you, at one point, my parents at that time period were like, where do you work? Like, you should not work there. Like, who works until after midnight and then goes back to work at 5 a.m? And I was like, I do. But I mean, I was killing it back then on, at what I was doing. So,
How many loans did you close that 1 month?
oh man, at that time period, my best month ever, I closed, I think it was 172 loans in 1 month.
172 loans. What the F?
Yeah. And I mean, being an account manager back then was a different beast than it is today, as we've seen with the account managers that have transitioned into being loan officers and work here now. Very different than what I used to
talk about you, Jose.
Yeah, talking about you, Jose. But very different than what I used to do. But man, I guess we didn't have the same technologies that they have today. So, I had to do a lot more by hand paperwork back then. And, it took a lot more time. So if I wanted to close that type of volume, I had to literally work around the clock. And man, I could tell you for about a year straight, I was closing better than 140 loans per month.
That's crazy, bro. And what was so I mean, like, we got to talk about it though. What is the mentality that you had to have to do that? Like, to sleep in your car? Like, what was going through your mind as a 22-year-old that said, I have to do this, right? Because it's not like now we're talking almost 100 years ago where you were 21, but like now it's like I see the hustle culture and the hustle mentality of people that want to own their own business today's day and age, and age where the newest, youngest millionaires are being made because of technology. I agree with that. So people are hustling for their own business, but you weren't working for your own business. You were working for someone else. What was the drive, the hunger that was inside you to do that?
I got to tell you, I see, everything evolving with where, younger people's mindsets are today. There's a lot more people that are open to, entrepreneurship. There are a lot more people who are open to starting their own thing because it's a little easier to start. It doesn't mean that they're going to successfully launch that business and make it a, something that's going to earn them an income, but they're much more open to start as an entrepreneur these days than they were when I was, 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever years old, 1923. But what I think I see a lot more of, or what the difference for me was, we were brought up in a space where it was work hard, climb the corporate ladder, get your degree, get your advanced degree and become whatever. And listen, I followed that whole suit for a long time. And that's the reason I did what I did, was because I was trying to climb a corporate ladder somewhere in my head. And, I was lucky enough to make it all the way up that ladder, at least as far as I was going to get. I did make it to the C-suite, 2 different companies.
My boy is C-level exec.
And then after, 6 or 7 years of being the head of whatever, I just decided, it wasn't for me anymore. I knew that I had a something else, something I wanted to build in my mind. But, going back to your question, it's just the way we were brought up. It was a different generation, different group of people, different way of doing things. And it's a bunch of stuff I don't agree with anymore. Oh, work so hard that you don't even make it home for dinner. No, listen, go home, do what you got to do. Work will be there tomorrow. Have a life outside of, have a life outside of it all, because there isn't that much time in life. So, I don't believe in any of that I did to climb that ladder. I don't look back at it and regret it at all. I loved it, but I don't believe in it anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I've had a real job before, but never one that I would be like,
I had a real job before.
I worked at a bank. I was supposed to climb up the corporate ladder at the bank. That was going to be my thing. I was going to become a relationship banker and climb up the corporate ladder of the bank, and become like this big bank exec, because I wanted to wear suits. Now I don't want to wear suits ever. Yeah. I found these pants, flex fit, and let me tell you something. Babe, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but there's these pants that are called cuts, right? Have you heard of them? No. All right, but they're like jogger style pants, like $120 a pair, bro. But I want to buy them so bad, and my fiance does not let me because I'm like, bro, I'm gonna go in there and I'll spend like $500 on pants. But she says no, she can't justify that, and she's right. I can't justify that on a pair of pants, but I love them so much.
I don't know what they are, but I mean, hey, you can't take it with you, buddy. So if you want to spend it, spend it.
I love that, bro. I love that. Yeah, so I just wanted to get in the mind of Roy George in that big head of yours, figure out what was in there.
I have a pretty small head, man.
I know. It's just funny because you're bald. And but last thing I want to just talk on is something that we found really interesting because you had a conversation with somebody from the credit sphere, right? We found some things, right? Number one, that credit reports are regional.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting. So no, that's not the right way to say it. Credit reports aren't regional, but you do get, or you used to get, slightly better data depending upon what bureau you were using, depending upon what geographic location you were in, right?
Crazy.
So like Experian, Southeast, TransUnion, Northeast, the Equifax, West Coast. So if you kind of mapped it out that way, and why did this come up? Came up because, we transitioned over to doing 2 bureau soft pulls, and we were like, how do we get the best, range of most trade line score, most accurate? And that's when the conversation came up about, well, it's not a thing anymore. I think they've all caught up with each other by now, but it's possible that a company that may be a small company based out of, let's just say Seattle, may only report to Equifax because they're the regional bureau in that part of the U.S., right? Yeah, I did not know that. I had no idea that that's the way that it used to be split up. Now, again, it's not split up that way anymore, but technology, I guess, has caught everybody up to everything they needed so you could report across the states. But I thought that was a really, really interesting thing.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, bro. You just so we moved to the 2 bureau method now. So we found this because we moved to the 2 bureau method because the cost of credit has gone up, right? Which I guess led us down a big rabbit hole on things that we just found out, right? Like the super cool that I was reading was the fact that they're trying to pass a bill to remove trigger leads, right?
Yeah.
But it's beneficial and count and not beneficial.
Yeah. So
somebody over.
I mean, it's beneficial and it's not beneficial. Depends from what angle you're looking at it. I mean, you think about it this way, right? It is highly beneficial to get rid of trigger leads because, you have a customer that's doing business with somebody and then that somebody pulls their credit and all of a sudden their customer's got 100 phone calls coming in. And it's not even about the competition because I don't have customers that leave me. I don't care. But it is annoying to the customer. The customer is calling you going, dude, is there any way you can make this stop? And, you can't, right? Because that's how the bureaus make additional money. They're selling data. Well, something to think about, if that legislation passes and there cannot be trigger leads, well, then that means the bureaus have lost a revenue source. And where does everybody think that revenue source is going to be replaced? I mean, honestly, I don't know 100%. You don't know 100%. Nobody knows 100%. But I mean, if you took away my money and all I had was one thing left, or, I'm not saying
I was a betting man.
They had 100 things left. But if you took away my money on one thing, I'd have to make it up over here. So I don't know if we just made credit report, or if this thing passes, I don't know if credit reports are now going to be, $500 a credit report.
Crazy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. And you know what pisses me off, right? Like, yeah, FICO. Like, what are we paying for the credit report for? Like, what is in the cost? What is the cost that I can justify $100 to you to get this report? Like, why?
So, that's an interesting thing, right? I mean, I always have this argument, right? The algorithm itself that creates the score, or the mathematical equations or the empirical equations or whatever it is, right, that creates the score, that is one source of something. I mean, I don't understand why you couldn't just recreate it in some form or fashion and have your own and cut that cost out of the equation. I mean, I do understand, right? First of all, monopolies in market.
Money hungry.
First of all, secondly, there are conglomerates and groups that are going to get together and band together to make sure nobody else enters their market. So when I say I don't understand why they can't do that, I mean, it can be done, but nobody's going to do it. And it's very hard to break into that. And then there are agreements in place with, certain companies, like, we'll only accept this kind of score. Well, if you only accept this kind of score, then I have to buy it from somebody who supplies that kind of score, which means I'm right back to using whatever it is I traditionally had to use. So, it is what it is. You can't get around it right now. But I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot with this trigger lead piece, because I think the bureaus are going to turn around and say, well, if I can't sell this data, then I'm going to go ahead and raise the prices of credit reports even further than they are today. And then for the mortgage industry, resellers will have to, incorporate that increased cost. And who knows where that'll go. It was the NBA's IMB conference just this past weekend. The NBA president, Bob Brooksmith, made some comments that were in the news about, the cost of credit and, why it keeps going up. And he had some choice words on what he said there in that particular series of comments that he made. But man, I think there's some legitimacy here, and it's hard to figure out what side to really get behind, right? Do I want trigger leads to go away? Absolutely, because I personally, as a consumer, cannot stand that. Could I teach my consumers how to opt out, and could that help? Absolutely, right? But a lot of loan officers and other people who provide loans to people don't take the time to teach their consumers how to opt out prior to even pulling their credit, right?
Or teach themselves.
Yeah, some people don't know how to do it. And then that goes to the other side of supporting lower credit report prices, right? Because now is that anti-capitalist to say, hey, we shouldn't increase prices on this? Well, why shouldn't I increase prices on this? You took away one of the ways that I make money, and now you expect me not to raise prices on the other products that I have. That's not happening. Right, so it's like a catch-22. It's a rock and a hard place. It's
if you don't want
situation
to be called 100 times, well, then you're going to pay. But my problem is this: the algorithm was already created. It only needs to be created once. Why do we need to keep charging for it?
Well, I mean, now we'll go back to capitalism. If you created the magical unicorn once, would you just give it away for free, or would you charge somebody every time they wanted to use it?
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the viewpoint of I'm the user or I'm the end consumer, and I don't think that's fair. And then there's the viewpoint of the creator who says, well, it's my creation, and I need to be properly compensated for that, whatever I think properly compensated is.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt if credit reports go out. It's gonna hurt big lenders too, because I think most of those, like for us, we try to collect payment for any credit card. Any credit application hard pull up front, right?
Yeah.
But most of these guys are covering the cost of credit apps.
So I don't think this is going to hurt lenders or brokers. That's not who I think this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt your first-time home buyers, your home buyers that need DPA assistance. Those are the kind of home buyers that you're putting in a bad predicament, right? Because listen, if you saved 20% down to go buy a house, then you probably have the extra $1,000 you need to buy a appraisal and a really expensive credit report. So it's not going to hurt you that much, and you probably won't flinch. But for the person who, has worked really hard to save 3.5% down, or who's worked really hard to get enough put together so that they can cover some closing costs, so they can move them and their family into a new home, $1,000 for an appraisal and a credit report, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt them. So it's not about the lender. It's not about the loan originators, brokers, otherwise. That's not about any of them. It's about those people who are in that bracket where they don't have, the traditional set of down payments, or whatever you want to call it, traditional 20% down, conventional down payment, and that kind of cash in hand. That's who it's going to hurt.
Amen. I couldn't agree with you more. But yeah, so credit reports going up. We got a lot of good stuff we talked about. I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. Any last thoughts you wanted to throw in?
I am happy I got to eat some birthday cake truffles from Milk Bar.
So fire, bro. They're like cake pops, bro, and they're so insane. I have to get rid of them. So I'm just gonna go give them to my girl because she will gladly take them. Speaking of cookies, I am starving.
Now go eat lunch, dude.
But, hey, so that's More Money episode 9, man. We're done. So next in 2 weeks we got More Money episode 10 coming. The big 1, the big 0. We're gonna have a special guest, and we might actually do something else on top of that, but you'll only know if you watch More Money episode 10.
See you there.
See you there. Ba 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 ba.